Hello everyone, it's Shanna Makes It, and I'm part of the creative crew for Cat Scrappiness. Today we're going to be working with the Crafty Quokka 6x6 paper pad and the Stitched Rope Nested Square Craft Die Set. And the square die set is going to pretty much be our focal point. And we're going to use all of these papers from the Crafty Quokka paper pad. And we're going to use a bunch of our different nested squares here to fill up a A2 card base. Now I brought a white panel in here and I'm just using it as reference to how many of these squares I can use on my card. So I'm just kind of lining it up and figuring out what I'm going to do. And I know that I can get these 4 on there plus a couple more of the smallest square. And I'm just picking out which papers I'm going to lay the squares on and just die cut them out of, and this is kind of what I have in mind. And we'll just get that panel out of the way. And I could probably use that stripe one for more than one if I choose to do that. So we'll just get them all. I'm cutting my papers down because I'm going to save my paper. I try to make the most use out of all of my materials. So I'm just cutting these down around the dies so that I don't mess up the rest of my paper as I'm going through my die cutting machine. So I'm just going to trim around all of them, and that'll get them ready. And we'll grab my mat that I use for my die cutting machine, and we'll get them laid down on there. And I'm not even going to tape them down. I'll just lay them on there and get them positioned, and then I'll put my plate on top of it and they'll be fine. So I've just popping it out. You can see I've just got a little edge around there of scrap. And we'll just get them positioned on this white panel, similar to how I'm going to use them. Now I've got one of the smallest squares there, and I'm going to need to go back and die cut a couple more of them out. I first go die cut one out and think that's what I need. But then I decide I'm going to go ahead and add another one so that we'll have 3 of those tiny little squares. So there I've got that, and I'm kind of eyeballing it and seeing, does this look like what I want? And then I'm deciding that I'm going to bring in another one, and I'm going to use the green to bring in another square. Now here I am bringing in the Glitter Galore 6x6 premium cardstock, and I'm going to use the teal colored one for my base. Instead of that white A2 size panel I had laying there, I'm actually going to use this teal Glitter Galore paper, and it'll be the base for my card. So I'm bringing in a top folding card, and I'm using my bone folder there to score it 5.5, and then we'll just fold it over and give it a real good pressing with a Cat Scrappiness bone folder. And then we're going to cut this teal panel down to A2 size. So I'm just going to bring in my trimmer, and I'll just trim this down to 5.5 by 4.25. And then we'll have our base panel ready to lay down on our card base. So I'm just going to bring in my glue. I've just got some Barely Art glue in this glue bottle, and we'll just glue this panel down. Now I was thinking about these dies in my head today, and I came up with this idea to just die cut out a whole bunch of these squares and to arrange them on my card. I wasn't sure how I was going to do it or how, where I was going to land, but I had the idea, and then as I worked with it, I came up with the idea to make a birthday card with it. So I'm going to get them all positioned on there, and this is where I'm deciding that I do want to bring in one more, and I'm going to do that green piece. And I had in mind that I might do that. That's why I cut it a little bit bigger, but I wasn't sure how they would all fit. So I got that green piece die cut out, and I'm laying it on there, and this is my arrangement. This is how I think I'm going to do it. And then I decided I wanted to pop up all of these squares off of that panel. So I've taken the dies, and I'm bringing in some fun foam that I have, and it's just got adhesive on one side, and I didn't even have a full piece, so I've kind of got you can see the corner of that one is cut away, but I'm just using some scraps that I've got, and I need to trim it up because I did use the dies for it, and they're the exact same size, and I want my fun foam to be just inside of my cardstock so that it doesn't show. So you'll see I'll trim 2 sides off of every one of these, and we'll get those laid down. So I'm just peeling off the backer sheet and laying the sticky side down to my paper, and I'm going to put glue on the other side since it only has adhesive on one side. And I'm going to do every one of these pieces. So I just had one sheet that I had partially used of fun foam, and I was able to get all of the pieces cut out of this. And so we'll just get them all popped up. Just trimming them down and popping them up. And I realized when I get there, I only did 2 of these. I only cut 2 of the small ones out of the fun foam. So I'll just have to reach over and grab the remainder of the fun foam that I had off camera and just cut a little square out. It won't be as perfect as the other ones, but it will serve its purpose. So all of the links to the materials are listed in the description box below, as well as the product bar. And we've been having a good sale going on, so some of these products may be on sale. You'll have to check them out. But if you click the description box below, I'll have everything listed. And if you do purchase from the links below, that helps support me and my creativity on YouTube. So I appreciate you watching, and I hope that you like my card and that you'll consider purchasing from Cat Scrappiness. So let's get back to the card. So I'm just going to position these where I've got a nice little frame around my square, and I'm just gonna, that biggest one is gonna kind of set the area for where I'm gonna lay the other ones down. So I'll try to line up each one of them to where they'll nicely align with the largest one, and then we'll just go from there. I'm just trying to keep a similar edge around there. And I think this is fun using all these different pattern papers. And I don't think they're too bold or busy to where it looks cluttered. I think they all play well together. Of course, they're in the same paper pad, so of course they would, but I don't think that it's too much for the eye. So I'm just going to get this, almost dropped it. I'm going to get this square down. That way I can position the third one right in between all of these. I'm trying to use the lines on my glass mat to help me make sure that I've got them straight. And then we'll get this one laid down on there. And I think this is fun. Having, these little squares all positioned on this card base and just filling up the card base. I think it definitely makes for some interest on your card. Now, I'm really fussing with these and trying to get them straight, but I think I've got them. And I need a sentiment. So that's what I'm going to use is this Happy Birthday sentiment from Cat Scrappiness. And it is a shadow. It has a shadow die to it. So I'm going to bring in some dark teal for that shadow die. And that way it won't get lost on the pink, all the pink that I have laying there. And that color is in our pattern, so it will work nicely. And then I'm going to bring this confetti paper in, and I'm going to cut our Happy Birthday out of it, and then we'll lay it down on our shadow die. And it cut out wonderfully. I was dropping my die trying to get it to fall out, but I'm just going to bring in my pick tool from Cat Scrappiness and just pop this Happy Birthday sentiment out of there, and then we'll get it glued down on our shadow, and then we'll add it to our card. And I think it looks really nice together. So I'm just cleaning up all of the little parts from the making sure I've got the tittle to my eye there. And I'm just going to get it laid down on this shadow. And you've got to have your tweezers for that. So I've got my ombre rainbow tweezers from Cat Scrappiness that I'm using there. And I'm just going to use this little glue bottle and just try to carefully put the glue down on the sentiment and not glob too much so that I don't make a mess on my shadow. And that's why these little bottles with these fine tips work really well for that. And then we're going to just lay it down on the shadow. I needed to move it to where I was kind of more in the middle. And I'm going to get my birthday positioned where I want it. And then I'll just get my happy positioned. And we'll just move it around as we need to. And I'm just going to daub up any glue that's there with my fingers, and I'm going to get this laid down on my card. And it's a simple card, not a lot of dimension. I do have my squares popped up, but I think all of these things play well together. The squares and then the happy birthday sentiment. I think it's a fun birthday card that you could use for anyone. Now, I'm going to bring in some of my Cat Scrappiness enamel dots. And I think this might be Happy Summer. I'll link it in the description box below so that you can check it out. But I'm going to use these teal ones. I think they would look really nice on there. So I'm going to get my pick tool again, and I'm just going to decide what I'm going to do. I thought I'd put 2 of these teals on these green squares, and I'm using the largest of the enamel dots. And then I'll bring 3 more of the smaller ones in and position them on my card as well. And I'm just kind of creating that triangle effect with my embellishments. Trying to get that one positioned just like I want it. And I'm pleased with this card. I hope you like it. I hope it provided some inspiration for you and you would consider those nested dies. Have a great day.